Okay.
Yeah. That's better.
There you go.
All right. So yeah, obviously today we're looking at how to talk to teens. That's the big impossible task that we're all dealing with in our own ways, I'm sure. So if you don't know me, I am Austin Olney. I met most of you last time. It's great to be back. I enjoyed last session. So I feel like last time it was way too big of a topic to fit into a half an hour. So this time it's a little bit, it's more of a, it's a smaller, it's like a subtask, a subsection of what we talked about last time. Last time we talked about general technology for Generation Z. And this time we're going to be looking at specifically, just muted everyone, just feel free to unmute yourselves if you want to chime in. And also, if you have any questions, put them in the chat because we'll have a chance at the end to do a full Q&A. So we'll go through those questions. But last time we just had it in discussion form. So either way. But anyway, last time we talked about general technology, and this time we're talking about a subtopic of that, which is specifically communication with teens. All right. And my experience, I like to think I have a lot of experience talking with teens. I've worked at the library for, started working here in 2013 when we launched the teen center here. That's actually why they hired me. And spent many, many hours in the teen center there, laughing, talking with the teens, and of course doing classes with them. I generally do tech classes here at the library as well as other tech tasks, but a lot of technology classes with teens. But there's a lot of in between those classes where I'd be hanging out with the Gen Z, as it were, and getting to know them and being able to communicate with them, because there's definitely a difference. Technically, I'm a millennial. I mean, I remember the days before there was an internet. So I'm coming from a completely different world than these kids that are pretty much born, with a smartphone in their hand. So let's look at some of the goals that I plan on achieving today. So obviously, better communication with the teens in general, for all of us. I'm 35 and I'm still working on this. Even though I pretty much started working with teens when I was, my early 20s. I was basically a teen when I started this work. So, but even I have challenges with it. We're going to look at the modern teen perspective, try and understand where they're coming from. Because again, any kid that's born after 95, when the internet took off, is just growing up in a different world. So they're going to see things differently. And especially now with, the pandemic, things have changed even more. So really, Generation Alpha is going to be a whole other challenge. When we get to them, those would be like my kids. I got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. So, they're coming from a whole different, Generation Z is going to have trouble relating to them. Okay, so we're going to look at communication methods in particular, specific examples of the technology that they're using, and we'll play around with a few different tools. I'll show you how you can do a few things, and then we'll look at some tips that I have, and then we'll look at some slang terms and what they mean so you can better understand what the kids are even saying. So that should be fun. And then of course the Q&A, like I mentioned. So yeah, like I said before, they're pretty much born, with technology. The technology, digital technology is just a default for them. It's everywhere. I mean, look at our society today. It's omnipresent, as it were. I like this quote: "I'd rather give up my kidney than my phone." I read that in an article where kids were talking about, technology, and it gives you an idea of how some kids feel about it. So many kids have smartphones these days. It's as natural to them as having an in-person conversation. But when looking at all of these different communication methods and styles that the kids, the teens have, you see there's this, it seems like there's this desire to connect that's underneath it all, that the kids, some of the hottest technologies these days are all about connecting with others. And especially, like I said, with the pandemic, there's this additional level of wanting to connect with others. And so that's like a core thing to keep in mind. I mentioned this last time, and this is something I'm just coming to realize, within this year, doing all these virtual classes that I do with the kids. I found out that the kids are more, I found out just by chance, this isn't something that I read, that the kids are more comfortable communicating via text than communicating over a phone, let's say, or if it's a Zoom call, then communicating over video. There's so many classes that I do where it's like I'm talking to a void. All right. In this case, this is natural because it's more of a presentation than anything else. But with these teen classes, I want it to be interactive, and I'm trying to build on skills with them, and in a real way, in a virtual world. And it's just nothing. Their camera's off, their microphone's muted. But there was one particular session where I remember I looked in this program we were using. We were using this application to connect to connect together and it has a text feature. And I realized that everyone was talking in the text chat. And so then I realized, oh, I'm coming at this the wrong way. I need to hop in this text chat. And so I pretty much muted my microphone and started talking to them via text. And it ended up being super fun. So that actually made them open up and then more willing to unmute their microphone and actually talk with their voice. As weird as that sounds. But yeah, so they're more willing to talk via text than phone, generally speaking. And another thing about teens is that they're having multiple. They have the ability to have multiple conversations at once. You can see teens hanging out, and they'll, some of them will be on their phones, going back and forth between talking and their phones. They could be having a conversation in real life, but also having some text conversation with other people that aren't even in the room about something completely different. And this is just natural to them. This is nothing. And recently I went camping with they weren't Generation Z, I don't think, actually. I don't know. They were in their early 20s. A few friends of friends came. They're in their early 20s, and they kept whipping out their phones around the fire. And it was just like, it just didn't seem right to me. But to them, it was just so natural to say, like, oh, look at this thing. And it was like, we're in the backwoods, and it's a different perspective. And yeah, I guess it's just bringing what they're used to the woods in that case. This is something I thought about when coming up with this class. I moved away from where I grew up, actually, for this job. It was back in 2013. I lived 4 hours away up in upstate New York, up by Rome, New York, if any of you are familiar. But I remember at the time thinking, this is fine. Nowadays, with modern communication, I got, I'm gonna let someone in the waiting room. Oh, thanks, John. I got my video chat. I got my video tools. At the time I was using Skype. I can basically have these video calls back home, and it'll be just like I'm back home. And I quickly figured out that it's just not the same. And actually, I'm sure a lot of us have figured out in the past few years that virtual meetings are just not the same as real life experiences. And actually, here at the library, we're just starting to experiment with hybrid programming, where we have a real program that's also virtual at the same time. But I remember that was a hard realization, because every time I would have a video chat with my parents, I would be very upset afterwards, and you would think it would make me happy. But I remember that being it was just a hard thing. I don't know. I still don't know exactly what it is, but it has something to do with, it's like you're seeing something, but it's a tease. It's like you're not really there, but your brain has the visual imagery. It's like you're being cheated, and your brain doesn't quite understand that. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Even though the kids, I don't know if the kids would prefer to do video chat over in-person chat, but I think at the end of the day, us as a society have to come to terms with the fact that in some ways video chatting is better, but in other ways it's in person is better. And do what you will with that information. But I think that's important to keep in mind when communicating, just in general today, but with teens as well. Okay, so let's get into the specifics. So for verbal communication methods the teens have, I broke it down into, actually there's many categories, but when it comes to actually speaking, there's two main ways. You got audio conferencing apps like Discord. Discord is a big one where it's pretty much a, you open up, it's like social media for microphones. And Clubhouse is the same idea, where you have different quote unquote rooms and you can enter those rooms. It could be a topic. It's actually kind of fun. You could find a community based on anything that you're interested in. It could be a director that you like, or a specific movie you might find a server for, and everyone's talking about it. Or you could find a movie server, and then in the movie server, you have different rooms for different movies. Anyway, that's Discord is big with the kids, especially when it comes to gaming as well. A lot of teens are gaming, of course, and rather than use whatever tools the game might have, they just generally use Discord to communicate with one another. And we've actually used Discord here at the library. So if you're going to do some kind of program where you just want to talk to the kids, but don't necessarily need to have a video element, then Discord would be a great choice. It's free, and you can set up your own server pretty easily. And you know me, so if you need help with any of that, feel free to reach out. And then for video chatting, obviously there's apps like Zoom that we're on right now, and Skype I mentioned. FaceTime is a big one with the teens. I have a nephew who's like classic Gen Z. Like he's whenever there's a get together and my nephew's there, he's like, I'm always picking his brain about what he thinks about things, what he's into, and he enjoys it. It sounds weird when I say that, but I bring that up because I remember one time I was playing a game with him. He texted me out of the blue, "You want to play a game?" Okay. And he FaceTimed my phone, meaning he used the app to do a video call to my phone. He wanted to do a video call using our phones. And I thought it was kind of awkward. Okay. So I answered it, but he turned his screen off. So it was like we were doing a video call with the cameras turned off. Like he could have just called me. That wasn't even in his radar, like that you could just put in my phone number and call it. It was just like, no, I'll FaceTime him. So it just goes back to the idea of using your phone as being, I don't know, something not necessarily foreign to them, but something that they're not inclined to do. And also I wanted to mention with video, there's a site called Omegle, which we've had issues with here at the library. And it's basically like a chat roulette, if you've ever heard of that, where there's just random video conversations. If you go to Omegle, the website, you can basically connect with someone random. And from their end, they're also connecting to someone random, you, and have a conversation, and either person can end the chat and get someone new, and it's a weird thing. I've never actually tried it myself, but I have watched kids do it, and it's given me enough perspective to say I never want to try that. But just keep in mind that there are, I guess you could say, dangerous video services out there for kids, because who knows who they're connecting to and what they could have on their camera feed. All right, you can use, well, you can imagine what might be out there and what you might not want kids to be seeing. So stay away from Omega. All right, and another nonverbal. Sorry, we were just talking about verbal communication methods. For nonverbal communication methods, of course, you got social media. I talked about it last time. There's so many different social media apps. Some of the big ones are Instagram, where it's like sharing photos. Everyone has their own gallery of photos and videos that you share with one another. I actually really like Instagram. I use it myself, and I find it much more enjoyable than Facebook, because you're just looking at pictures. There's no real, there's not much more than that. Twitter is more of a catch-all, where users can post pretty much anything that's digital on the platform, and Twitter is big with the teens because they can follow their favorite celebrities. And Snapchat is an interesting one. Snapchat is a major communication method for the teens to use. You can think of it like in Mission Impossible, when you have those messages that self-destruct. It's kind of like that, except in video form. So you send a photo or a video to one of your friends, and it basically self-destructs. It times out. And there's also a lot of filters that can be used. You can see this guy's got a rainbow tongue here. And filters are a big thing. It's just kind of a fun way that it's a fun thing that kids have to add to their conversations. And actually, Zoom has some filters that I'll show you. And so for more nonverbal communication, there's text-based options. I mentioned that kids are more comfortable communicating via text. Most social media apps have what's called DM, which stands for direct message. That can be our first slang term. DM, if you ever hear a kid say like, oh, I DM'd you, that means I sent you a direct message using whatever app they're referring to. And then there's just general texting. You can use the default Android app or the default iOS app or iPhone app. But there's also third-party apps like Kik or Signal that allow you to text. And yeah. There's also memes and GIFs that are kind of like a form of communicating. So I pulled it up on my phone here, where I just went through, and this is an iPhone. So on an iPhone, you can easily send a GIF to someone by, it's a built-in feature. If you're on the text messaging app, you click on the text message part right here. Sorry, the blank text bar that's there. It says text message, and under it there's this looks like a reddish pinkish magnifying glass. And if you click that, it gives you options to send a GIF or GIF, however you prefer. You just type in a topic. So I typed in yes. So if Gen Z person is talking to someone and they want to say yes, sometimes they'll instead of just saying yes, they'll search for some kind of picture and send them this. It's hilarious. Actually, my brother's big into this. He's older than me, but he's really picked up on this sending GIF to communicate idea. And it's kind of like filters. Like there's no real reason to do it other than it's just fun. But you might get this from teens, and who knows? You could send a message back to them if you wanted to. Okay, moving right along. So yeah, filters are a big thing. I don't know if you ever saw this guy. He was on some kind of important Zoom meeting where there was it looked like some kind of court proceeding, and he accidentally had a cat filter on. I don't know if any of you saw that. It's kind of sad and hilarious at the same time, because he doesn't know how to turn it off, and he just wants to proceed as a cat. So there's all these filters, and actually, like I said, Zoom has a bunch of filters which I can load up. There's a whole background and effects section. Right here is what it looks like. So you can actually touch up how you look. It's kind of interesting. I wish I could show you when I pull it on the screen. Yeah, it just shows black. But I usually have, actually, you've only seen me in a filter pretty much. I always have this dark filter just because I like how it blends all the colors together. But this is how I look in real life. And there's all these different filters that you can have that are just fun. You can have a mask. Is that a mask? Yeah, it doesn't really look real at all. But there's a lot of fun ones. What I found interesting is that they have what's called studio effects. You can see it on the side here, where you can actually turn that off. You can actually change all kinds of things. Like I was looking at this, you can change your lip color. I don't know if it's working. No, it's not working. But it was working earlier. Let's see, none. Oh, there it is. I can change my lip color. It's like we're living in a world where you can just easily, like I got purple lipstick on. You can easily deceive people. I can even change my eyebrows, like how I look. There's all these beautification. Like can I turn my eyebrows green? Yeah, I kind of look like the Joker there. But it's interesting to see how there's all these different ways that we can basically fake our virtual selves, and this is actually becoming a real thing. The idea of your avatar looking quote unquote better than you, and you can imagine the psychological impact that could have on a child. I mean, an adult, you could see that having an impact. So I don't know. I think the avatars that's it's a fun thing, but it's also something that I don't know. There's something that rubs me the wrong way with that. Okay, and also this idea of avatars plays right into, if you've heard of Mark Zuckerberg talking about the metaverse, they actually changed the name of Facebook to Meta based on this idea, because he's all gung-ho about the idea of a metaverse where we're all joining virtually, kind of like Ready Player One, if you ever saw that movie, where we're essentially living in a digital world of avatars with I got a virtual reality headset right here, where you put this on and you'd join a world with others. So it'd be like us doing this meeting right now, except instead of using a camera and microphone, it's like, you know what this is? It's like headphones for your eyes. So it's like you'd have headphones on. You would have headphones on, a microphone, and something covering your eyes. And he feels that this is going to change the world. I think there's definitely there's strings of truth there. I think that is where we're headed. We're headed towards some sort of avatar world, for better or worse. I don't think it's going to happen quite so quick. I think we got a bunch of time before we're all like really living in some kind of metaverse, but you can see the sparks of it happening now. So this avatar idea that I'm concerned about is just going to, become more prevalent. So, so I don't know, maybe I'm just being pessimistic, but that's something to keep in mind. The metaverse, it's coming. Okay, so for some tips, be sympathetic to these kids. Obviously, I'm sure you are already, but yeah, they're this is a tough time to come of age, I suppose. It's a hard time for our society in general. Being a teenager, I'm sure we all remember, is not easy. So imagine the world as it is right now, and being a teenager. And then, of course, we're all here because we don't want to get left behind. So it's good to be open, but not too open. You don't want to start trying to talk like them, because that could actually create more of a distance between you and the teen if you try to be cool. And It's just a fact. I had to come to terms with this, that I'm just not cool. And once I figured that out with the kids, it became a lot easier to connect with them. Obviously, we want to be able to translate and use their communication methods. Like I said, I keep hitting this, and I hit this last time a lot. They love to text. They love to text chat. So whenever you can do that, it might be a good opener for you to break the silence with them. Okay, this is a fun video I found.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Where this guy's talking. He goes through some of the Generation Z tech terms. I'll play that right now.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Carl. So it seems like every other week, the kiddos of Generation Z seem to come out with new slang terms that quite frankly confuse the rest of us older generations. So the goal today is to learn how to speak some of that Gen Z lingo. And joining me today on how to translate some phrases is our favorite spokesperson for the Gen Z kids, my cousin Brock. Say hello, Brock. Brock, say hello.
Sup?
Alright, let's get started.
Do you guys have the Wi-Fi password?
Alright, Brock, we're gonna start with some simple ones.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, how are you?
Saw.
Friends,
Fam.
family.
Fam jam.
It was a fun event.
The fest was lit.
Okay,
Oh,
I'm about to leave.
I'm finna dip set.
Those are some neat shoes.
Them kicks are dripping.
I would be glad to help.
Bet.
My favorite team lost.
Dudes took an L.
My favorite team lost very bad.
Dudes got clapped.
He seems upset.
He little mad.
He seems very upset.
He big mad.
I like this music.
That's a bop.
I'm not lying.
No cap.
I'm sorry that happened to you.
Oof.
That's an interesting statement.
Weird flex, but okay.
I'm not a fan of these appetizers.
These apps are booty.
I completely agree with that statement.
Facts.
I agree.
Yeet yeet.
Excuse me.
Yeet.
Wow, that's exciting news.
Yeet.
Congratulations on your baby boy.
Yeet.
What does yeet even mean?
Yeet is yeet.
That doesn't help. It's like when fam comes slipping in with their drippin' swag, jamming to some sick bop. And no cap, you know these facts are about to be litty fresh to death. You're like, oh. I'm not big mad at that booty response.
Yeet.
I don't get it.
Weird flex, but okay.
I don't know.
I found that one funny. Okay, so yeah, he hints at the idea that it can be a little bit difficult to understand what
Hello,
the
ladies and gentlemen.
generation is saying. Okay, so here are some terms. Okay, so do with these what you will. Like I said, it's good to just be able to translate what the teens are saying. So I don't know if I should go through all of these, but some of the big ones you might hear. Ghosting is an interesting one because it directly refers to communication. There's this idea and practice really that that's really not healthy in my opinion, where if a kid is in some kind of relationship, let's say a teen is in a relationship and they want to get out of that relationship, then one way that's so popular, I guess, that it has its own term is called ghosting. And that's basically where you cut off communication with the person. So instead of saying, hey, I want to end this relationship, you just completely stop talking with them. These days, so many things are virtual. You just cut off all virtual communication with them. And that's a statement basically. And that's called ghosting. I guess we would refer to that as the cold shoulder, but it's like a cold virtual shoulder. But that's a big one. What else? Bet is a big one. I think that's on the next page. Bet basically means you bet. I actually realized that when I was looking at these terms, that all this time I always thought bet was a weird one. They say you'll say like, hey, we're gonna go to the the place later, and they'll say bet, and bet usually means okay, all right. But I realized yesterday it's just short for you bet, you bet. So you might hear them say that. There's a lot of concerning ones that if you hear them say okay boomer, then that's you should them fighting words. You should take that one not kindly, because that is an insult. If you ever hear them say turned up, that's basically saying, basically getting wasted. Yeah, so I don't really want to go through all these terms. It's hard to define these terms without using another term, but I can send these to you if you want. I know Ellen mentioned that might be something that you might want just to refer to. We used to have a dictionary like this. We called it the Edge Dictionary over at the Edge Teen Center. And we used to, it was hilarious to go through and try and figure out, use real terms to figure out what they were saying. And the kids loved it too. I remember that they would always just, can we look at the dictionary? Because they would just laugh because it's so funny to see these quote unquote old people try and figure out what they were saying. All right, so that is pretty much all I got. How about we open it up to questions?
So, Austin, one of the things that in interaction with my son, when he was a teenager, doing texting is a far more focused way of communicating. You don't have extraneous things like people, with background noise, and it's like, where are you? Or it's like it doesn't sound like you're in the library. I mean, having a conversation, opens things up to more unexpected events that the teen wants to avoid.
Right. Are you saying it was beneficial or what?
No, it's just sort of like, why is texting more interesting or more popular? Is that it communicates only what they want to communicate. There's not superfluous noise and background stuff going on.
Even time to react can be looked at as like a distraction for them. Like they want to react in one particular way. They don't even want the other person to see their initial reaction. It's like they want to have a well-crafted response to whatever it is, and texting allows you that.
Right.
That might be something.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at the chat here. I see someone mention TikTok. I forgot to mention that. TikTok is a big one as well, and that's kind of like Twitter in some ways, where you're kind of putting out content to the world. Obviously, it's in video form, and TikTok is all about short videos. What else? Kids are all about TikTok these days. Let's see. You mean they were talking in the chat box like this? Do we simply accept this or help them be multi-tech personal lingual? I think both. I think that the goal is to get them to be more comfortable talking in person, because there's so many benefits to it. It's one of those skills. It's weird that we even have to talk about that being a skill that has to be taught. But one way to get, to start that conversation and start that growth is by using the communication methods that they're comfortable with. So you can basically start the conversation there and hopefully move it to where you want to take it.
Very cool.
Austin.
Yep.
I have one question. All the information was great. In case of trying to secure some of these methods, So some things that come across you may not want your child to have. How do you protect them from some of these, I call it bad communications?
Right. That's a great question. And there's no simple answer to it. I mean, some parents go about it with, a parent, whoever, person, doesn't necessarily have to be a parent. They go about it by trying to restrict particular communication methods. Let's lock down their phone. Let's say a parent of a teen. Let's block all the different ways that you can use these quote unquote dangerous apps. But that can backfire big time, because that creates like a slingshot effect where you're holding them back so much that they just want to use whatever you're trying to prevent them from using so much that they might use it more than they would if you never even restricted it in the first place. So I think just having a good line of communication with the kids is best. Telling them, basically what I told you, that, Omegle is bad news. It's not that you can't use it. It's just that if you do use it, actually, I honestly, I don't know how I would bring that up with a teen. I think it's just a good thing. My experience is, I saw the kids using it in the library, and I saw that it was Omegle, and just red flags started going off because I was aware that Omegle is bad. Omegle is bad news, and so we're in a library, so we have the ability to block certain things. So we didn't officially block Omegle, but I told the kids, you got to get off of that. We can't have, whatever it is, you can't have that imagery on our computers in a public space. Nonetheless, it's not good anyway. It's really hard to talk about this kind of thing. But yeah.
David, do you have a question?
Yeah, actually, yeah. First of all, a couple things. That list of slang terms you can find on Urban Dictionary, and it's constantly updated. The thing's been around longer than we have. Before it was online, it was in the hallways of any school you went into. So, can you dig it? I mean, all this stuff, right? So all this stuff has been changed. Slang changes, and it changes from the street first. And the difference here is that it went from street to tech to here. So that's why urban is there, because urban means street, and we all know what that is really referring to. So that's one thing. Secondly, I want to just put our perspective into this. It's always good to be bilingual. All right. I've always spoken street. Now I have to speak tech and street at the same time, but it's our job. And I think something that Justin mentioned about being open-minded is a quote from Groucho Marx that I put in the chat box. It says, be open-minded, but not so much as to let your brains fall out. So we also have to remember our role in this is that, yeah, we have to understand, look, I taught for a long time, and I spent a whole lot of time with teenagers. And part of my job was to be able to understand them when they didn't think I understood them. All right. And part of the job is also for them to learn to be multilingual. And now that includes texting and video and TikTok and social media and whatever the new thing is going to be, because in 2 years, all of this will be passé and there'll be something else that will replace it. But it's still our job to make sure kids don't lose the personal, because a lot of this is really hiding in plain sight. And kids oftentimes don't want to be seen in plain sight. They don't want to be noticed because being a teenager is very awkward. And sometimes it's a matter of, I don't like who I am. I don't like how you see me. And this is a great way to hide without actually working through the issues about how to come out and be more confident about oneself. And that's our job.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, David. I'm just sitting here thinking, Austin, would there be we're coming up on working potentially with a group of sixth graders at Eastview, young guys. Mm-hmm. We're going to probably go back at some point to Church Street Elementary. We're doing this halftime program with kids at the youth bureau once a month, just showing up and talking to them. Is there some kind of like event or something fun the grandpas could do with these kids to almost in some way highlight that we get it a little bit and they get it, or they can show us some things? Or is there any kind of interactive type activity we all might do together, or introduce something about that?
Yeah, I'm sure there is. I'm trying to think of, everything I do with the teens is tech focused. So I do these classes, and that's kind of my way to bond with the teens. So any recommendations I would have would probably have some kind of technology involved. But I will say that I did a class where I forget what we were doing, game design or something. And I was using Legos as a real example to, show them how to build things. And it was just so much fun. I'm not saying you should pull out Legos, but it was so much fun to sit there and play Legos with the teens. And, I'm 35, and I found it to be a ton of fun. I think they're timeless, ageless. But yeah, I guess whatever you're comfortable with. I'm obviously comfortable with technology. So that's, I connected with them through computers, and, whatever games they're into, I can play those games with them and link with them that way. So
yeah, that's what I was thinking, whether there might be some tech related activity in terms of we could do together.
Oh, I'm sure. I'd have to think about that one. What's the environment?
I don't know. We may be on site at the school, or it may be something that we're in different places and doing it virtually.
You might try, using the youth bureau and, some of the kids there, and, have that be sort of the test bed.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that I've also noticed, with my son and his buddies is that, one or two of them will be playing a game, but, 4 or 5 of them will be sitting there watching, people, play the game. And, that's like an audience, participation is, watching people, do stuff. And, you don't necessarily have to be, the guy with the handset. Something.
Yeah. Games in a lot of ways are like sports to them anyway. There's certain things that, it's like if kids were watching other kids play football, it wouldn't be weird. But when you see a kid watching someone play a video game, it's, there's a natural, like, that's not right. Why aren't you just playing,
Yeah. I believe the,
Jose? Yeah. Your phone rang. There's a little message on top of it.
I know that I believe that the city of White Plains was approached to set up a theater where people would, come and sit and watch other people, play games. And, the players wouldn't necessarily be even in White Plains. They could be, in Florida.
Oh, wow. I didn't know they had that here.
Yeah, well, they were, it didn't come about, but, that was the proposal. So.
Oh, okay. Right.
They just opened on Church Street that Fifth Dimension VR, and I went to the opening and ribbon cutting with Tom Roach, and I tried virtual reality, put the glasses on, the first time I ever did that, and walked a plank 35 stories up on a building. It blew my mind. I was standing right there, but I felt like I was really crazy.
Yeah, virtual reality, that might answer your question, Jim.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yes, virtual reality has always been super fun as a group event, because then one person's doing it, and then you watch what the person is doing on the screen, and we all laugh at them, and they laugh too, and then you switch the person.
Yeah, we had talked about maybe a visit there, I think, Nick, that we can follow up.
Yeah, and now they're making it so easy. You don't even need a computer. Actually, I got another headset here. They got these standalone headsets. It's all inclusive in one one device. You don't even need a computer to set it up. You just turn it on and put it on, and you don't even need sensors. You know, this other one I have has all these sensors that you need. So anyway, there's ways to do it.
You put your smartphone in the, you know, that's the visual.
Don't even need, no, it doesn't even need a smartphone. Yeah, it's the next level of that. It's basically,
Wow.
you don't need anything.
Yeah, well, let's try it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
So do you have any other questions? Hey, Austin, hey, thank you so much for putting this together. This is,
Of course.
this is
I hope
great.
it was
And-
helpful.
And yeah, it is very helpful. So, you know, we got to, you know, get our text typing, you know, fingers exercised. So.
Yeah, I guess so.
But it's really great. So thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
That's
All right.
great.
And
Thank
everybody
you.
got
Thank
out.
you.
All right, good. So we've got some upcoming mentoring session, and we've got some other events we'll be getting out there, and the awards were, the word hopefully is out there about the Community Engagement Awards. And we'll get an update on that. I think either we have a meeting tomorrow or next week. And,
Tomorrow morning.
and moving ahead. So
Great.
thanks to everyone for being here today. John, thanks for helping set up with Austin.
Sure, no problem. Anytime. So
Okay, have a
Right.
good day, everyone.
Thank you.
all the best. All right.
Dave,
Take care.
Dave, did you say we have a meeting tomorrow?
I think there is one.
We have one at
I thought
2,
it
I
was-
think, on the awards.
Hang on a second. I'm just checking.
I thought it was
Yeah,
the
2 o'clock.
14th.
2 o'clock.
And thanks for everyone who came out to the YPI celebration. Got a
That was
lot of
great.
great feedback about that, so thank you.
Yeah, that was
2
a good,
o'clock
good
tomorrow.
event. All right. Ciao.
I guess.
Okay, take care, everybody.